And in April 2020, the pandemic brought about its virtual edition. It is inspired by the people of Qatar, both local and expatriate, and dedicated to my mother. It aims to inform, to educate, to inspire, and bring communities together. Our guests today are Gulf English School's Head of Primary, Daniel Langfield, and Head of Secondary, Carol de Jong. Welcome, Carol.
Other way around, Bosco.
Other way around.
Other way around.
Okay, that's excellent. Well, hey, apologies.
We can swap for a bit, Carol, if you want.
No, I think I'll stay with the younger kids. I'm better suited there.
Oh, that's actually on. I think that's on purpose, maybe.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Carol, would you like to introduce yourself quickly to our viewers?
Sure. So my name is Carol de Jong. I am, as Bosco said, the head of primary school at the Gulf English School. I originate from South Africa, the wonderful Cape Town. I'm a wife and a mother of 3. I have been teaching since 1993, so now you can all try and work out how old I am. And prior to Qatar, I was in London for 10 years, and this is my 11th academic year in Doha, Qatar. So I've been around the mountain a couple of times, but love education and I'm passionate about children's education and making sure that we do the best that we can.
I can actually see that because I actually mistook you to be in the school. I can see both of you all loving a lot about the school because I thought you all were in school, right now.
No, I'm at home.
Yeah, Daniel, would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Yes, of course. I'm Daniel Langfield. I'm the head of the secondary school at the Gulf English School. I've been in Qatar now since 2014. I love my job. I love working in education. I love shaping young people's lives. Love being in Qatar. It's definitely better being in the sunshine than in the cold rain and wind in the UK. Yeah, I'm just looking forward to having this chat with you guys tonight.
Yeah, me too. I had requested for your bios, and it was so interesting to read them that I almost might forget about talking about the school. But hey, this is all about Gulf English School. So, Carol, the big question: how cool is your school?
So our school is cool because we present an inspiring, I'm using the word that you used right at the beginning, an inspiring curriculum that challenges our learners to be the very best that they can be. Our staff are well-educated, first language, international educators who come from trained, worked in the UK, but we teach and deliver a curriculum that is bespoke and I think really enhances our children's learning. So that's why, and we present fun, active learning that results in every child achieving their personal best.
Lovely, very well said. Daniel, going through your quick, interesting bio, I picked up on a couple of lines actually, but I'll start off with, you mentioned challenging but engaging. And it's etched in my mind, So what are the challenges you have faced and how did you engage?
Look, working, any job is challenging. It has its challenging areas. Working in education is challenging. Working with various different personalities, both with your staff and the students, but that's what makes it so fun. No day's the same, again, which makes it so interesting. The biggest challenges, I would say, have been in this last 18 months. Like I say, we encounter challenges most weeks, but we have to be resilient as staff and resilient as students, and this is what we want our students to be, and we try and get across to them. But definitely the last 18 months during the pandemic has definitely been the most challenging, I would say, for any school that's been through this. It really has brought about things that we never thought we'd see.
Yeah, very true. Talking about the school, Daniel, you joined this. How long have you been with Gulf English School?
Since 2014.
Oh, lovely. That's very nice. Would you be able to give us a few milestone points about what the school has achieved since 2014? I do know that this is one of the first English schools in Qatar, because I know a couple of friends who have passed out from Gulf English School, and they're doing really well in their careers. In fact, one of them has also been on my prior program, the famous athlete Mariam Farid. Very interesting. So would you like to give us some brief points about the school, a brief history and school milestones?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'll go from the start. The school opened in 1993. In 2005, we were accredited with BSME, British Schools in the Middle East. In 2007, we had our first IB cohort graduate. Mariam Farid was one of our IB graduates, not in 2007, obviously, a little bit after that. But yeah, she was one of our IB graduates. In 2012, we got CIS accreditation, and since then we've always had positive feedback within our reviews. There's 5-year reviews in both the CIS and within the IB, and every time we've had very successful reviews. So yeah, I mean it's a good school. We strive to improve and we keep moving forward.
Or is that an accreditation that you need to reapply every 5 years? Is it?
It's a regular process. So, like for the Council of International Schools to be accredited by that, yes, it's a 5-year process. So you do self reviews, team reviews. You send off your documents to the CIS. They come in, visit. They bring a visiting team. They look around your school. They see your practice, and then they provide a report. And luckily for us, and through the good work of our staff and our leadership teams, we've had great reviews.
And I think if Danny doesn't mind me asking, Bosco, because I've been part of the process since I started. In the first year that I started, we actually had we started the CIS review. And I think we've done so well every time we've had a visit. And the visiting teams have always commented, part of that success has been the commitment of the owners of our school. You know, they members of the family are on our board. They direct us and they guide us. They give us strategic direction. And time and time again, the report comes back to and really applauds the involvement of the owners. And I think that's what makes this such a success story, that our owners aren't just people who are sitting somewhere and treating us like a business. They're actually part of this. Their grandchildren attend our school. They're committed to our school and the development of it and to the education of our children. And so that's part of our success as well.
Carol, you know, I can't agree with you more. I've had first-hand experience with working with the family that owns the school. Yeah. I've actually had pre-COVID. I've actually had an event, a Big B meetup at Sheikh Faisal's museum, with the attendance of himself and his daughter, and the granddaughter as well. Yeah. And very amazing. I can't wait to go back and do another collaboration with them. Having said that, it was very interesting to know that the school started off 28 years ago now.
28, yeah.
Yeah, at a villa compound. Now I can relate to that because I've also educated myself in Qatar. I've got an education in Doha, in one of the first Indian schools in Qatar, second Indian school in Qatar, and we were the first batch, like how Mariam Farid was the first batch of your school, and we actually also operated out of a villa. Yeah. So I can understand that very well.
And again, I mean, you know, just the vision that's taken to move from a villa to a school that has 4 campuses, that spans from a nursery all the way to IB, that can cater for capacity of probably 1,800 pupils. It's amazing. So yeah, again, credits to the leadership.
Carol, I'm laughing because you know I don't know, you know my next question.
I haven't seen your notes, I promise.
Yeah, I feel like making you the host, and because I actually do that. Actually, that's part of my since the past 4 months. I give an opportunity for my guests to be the host, and they ask a question each to either of the speakers. You know, I don't know if you want to do that. You might just
Carol, go on.
My children will say that I talk too much, so I won't be the host tonight. I will hold back.
Very interesting, actually. Coming back to Daniel and deviating, I want to come back to the school, of course. Carol has, put me off the rail here, but in a very
Sorry.
nice way. No, in a very nice way. I like that. I like that. Daniel, I can't help myself but ask you about the sports science degree that you have, and you're a semi-professional footballer. I know you don't want to talk much about it, but please, as a diehard football fan myself, I'd like to know a little bit more about Daniel Beckham Langfield.
Beckham, not quite. I wish. No, my sports degree. I started off playing football from a very young age. From the age of 10 years old, I think I was under professional contract with Huddersfield Town.
Wow.
Unfortunately, about 17 years old, I was released from Huddersfield Town. But then for a good 10, 11 years after that, I did play semi-professional football for Guiseley and Emley. Due to my love of sport, my passion, I went to university, got my degree in sports science. And from this, I thought, you know what, I'd love to give back to young people, and got into teaching. I became a PE teacher. And then, I've worked my way up from there.
Interesting. Very nice. Have you taught PE at Gulf English School?
Yes, I have. And I've actually got a couple of PE lessons next year on my timetable. So I'll still keep my hand in.
Lovely. That's very interesting to know. That's great. Coming back to you, Carol, you mentioned a very, very lovely statement, actually. Education changes lives. How has it changed yours?
I don't want to talk for a long time, because this is a topic that can really send me off on a tangent. But I come from Cape Town. I come from South Africa. Anybody that knows the history of South Africa will know that when I was at school, certainly, and pre that, education was not equal. Education was not for all. And I think as I decided to go into education and pre-university years, I just more and more became aware of the inequality that was around me, and how that just didn't resonate with what I believed, or what my family believed, actually. And so when I went into education, it was that I wanted to make a difference, and believed that all children, no matter where they are in the world, no matter what their economic background, they deserve and should be entitled to a good quality education. And then went to the UK, and many people will have a lot to say about the British education system, but what I love about the British education system is that each child gets a good education. Each child, wherever they stay, no matter their postcode, will have equal education. And so that's really been my mantra in working with my staff, working with parents, working with everybody that I come into contact with. What do we need to do to make sure that we deliver the very, very best for our children in our context? And that looks different around the world, but in this context, what do we need to do to make every child that comes through our door every day the best learner that they can be, and open as many doors as we can for them? So that's a bit about me.
That mantra also resonates with Her Highness Sheikh Moza, with the Education for All, non-profit organization that Qatar has.
And also, Bosco, in the Aries group that we belong to, there is Faisal Without Borders, which is a charity that belongs to this organization, and they also do a lot for education. So that really warms my heart, and I think that's another reason why I feel so passionate about working at the school, because I think a lot of what we do within our school, within this group, within our cluster, is about creating opportunities not for our own learners, but for the wider community and the world. So it's very inspiring.
Yeah, well, that's one of the questions I have. It must be
sorry, I keep on doing that.
No, that's fine. That's fine. I'm getting to learn you better now. I know what to do now. I'm not going to be on guard. But Carol and Daniel, I believe it's an opportunity that the school has taken, where you're a part of, I think, the largest conglomerate in Qatar. as a group of companies, and you'll have such a diverse group where it's also pro-educational, where you have the museum, you have a riding school, and so many other aspects of the organization. How does the school take benefit from that? Do you all have field trips to the museum? Because I believe it's one of the best museums in the world.
I don't know about free trips, but we do go for trips.
Look, it's great. We have, like Carol touched upon, we've got Faisal Without Borders, which is our charity organisation. We also in school run a service learning programme, and as part of the IB diploma as well, we have CAS, so Creative Action Service. So we work with Faisal Without Borders quite closely. We had a huge blood drive within Qatar that was run through the school and Faisal Without Borders that ran at Qatar, and thousands of people turned up to donating blood, which was fantastic. So there's always these type of things going on within our organisation.
Yeah.
The museum that you've touched upon, yes, we go up there, we visit the museum. We have something when we're not in pandemic times where we have fitness at the farm, where our students can go up to Sheikh Faisal's farm. We can go in the museum, we do quizzes, we use the sporting resources that they've got up there. We also have the equestrian centre, so our students have been able to go up in the past and have horse riding lessons. It really is fantastic to be part of this.
Very true. Not many schools can have that. Should we say?
And during COVID, we've actually been running virtual workshops with the museum as well for our Key Stage 2 learners, which the children have really enjoyed. And so the museum have developed an online program, and there's different themes, and they've been delivering it to the pupils online using the artifacts in the museum, which has been a really fantastic resource and one that we've been able to tap into. So another benefit of being part of the organization.
Yeah. Carol, I'm going to banish you. I'm going to banish you.
I'm sorry.
She's answering questions before you've asked them, Bosco.
The other thing I want to add as well, and only because my son, when he was in the secondary, he's graduated now, but when he was in the secondary and he was doing one of his courses, the benefit of being in our organization as well was they did lots of work experience. So I know he went to the Marriott a couple of times, and there've been different situations where they've gone to different industries within our group, which is also a great benefit to our learners as well.
Carol, very, very interesting point I'd like to get out of you here. So did your sons educate themselves at the school?
Yes. So when we arrived, that was a long time ago. My youngest son was in preschool, and my oldest son, I think, was in year 4. And so Ewan graduated at the end of last year, and so he's doing a gap year this year. And yes, so
that's lovely. So
of our own, yes.
So you have two faces to talk about, how as a parent
and as a teacher, yes, and part of the leadership. 3 different groups.
Wow.
That are
so did you cut yourself some slack?
I did, but my husband didn't always. You know, he was a good parent, so he would ask the difficult questions if they needed to be asked. But yes, a good experience all round.
Okay, lovely. And I believe you'll have a new campus from a single campus. You'll actually have 4 branches now.
We have our main campus. We have our infants department, and within infants next door we have a nursery. And then when children finish in year 2, they transfer to the main campus, which houses the juniors and secondary. And then we also have a Bin Umran branch, which opened a couple of years ago, and that's a 2-form entry school. And at the moment that's up to year 5. Next year we will open year 6. So it's just been progressive as we've been opened up. So, and then the development plan after that, so not next year, the year after, is that we're hoping to open a secondary school as well in Bin Umran. So
where exactly in Bin Umran is it? Where?
It's next to Hamad Hospital, so it's just behind Hamad Hospital, where Stendon University used to be. That campus. Stendon is moving, and Bin Umran branch is next door to that.
That's a very picturesque place. It has a lovely little castle kind of a thing.
Yeah. Absolutely, next to Castle Compound.
Beautiful. So I believe the Bin Umran campus is inclusive because inclusivity is one of my 4 pillars of Big B Meetup. I'd like to know more about how the school is inclusive, to people who are differently able and neurodiverse.
So we have, as a school, we have entry requirements, and we entrance test all of our pupils. And part of that process, there's 2 parts. There's an entrance test for the pupil, and then we also do a parent interview. And from there, we discuss and we review the child's application. Our vision is to provide an education for every child, and to help them achieve their personal best. And part of that process is for us to do our very best to make sure that we can provide for those children. It would be useless us taking in children that we didn't have the facilities to cater for them. So there are parts of our school that can cater for differently abled children, and there are other parts that would find it a bit more difficult because we might not have the physical space. But Umran is one of those campuses that is on all one level, and so it's a little bit easier for them to cater for children who might have physical challenges, and they can cater for them a little easier. But we have a SENCO and we have a learning support department, and so as I say, when a child does an entrance test, we review their results. If we feel that that test hasn't given us enough information, we might ask parents for any additional information. We might ask for external reports or other providers. So we work closely with some pediatricians at Sidra, Ramela, who might give us more information, and then we take the decision from there. But within that process, we always try and consult with the parents and make sure that we are giving a very open and transparent opinion.
Okay, that's Bin Umran for you. Would Daniel like to talk about the other branches of?
No, I mean that covers all of our branches.
I think that's the process for all of us.
Yeah, consistency across all of the schools, all of the sites. As Carol says, and our teachers, like we've touched on earlier, they're fantastic, and they are able to. You've said, Bosco, yourself. Every child has their own strengths, areas for development, and our teachers are able to cater for that. They can differentiate well. They can make the learning come to life and in a way that appeals to that child within their class.
Okay. What is the strength of the school? How many students do you all have, and what is optimum capacity? Are you all looking for more students? Of course, every school is, but there are some schools that are very strict on who they take in. Of course, your inclusivity is very important, but also the IQ level, or you want to take in students of merit. I had to go through an IQ test when I had to change school I changed 4 schools actually. And when I went to the boarding school in the mountains of Rajasthan in India to an Irish brothers run school, I had to go through an IQ test. Thankfully, I passed. Yeah.
I think that was many years ago. I don't know if we do IQ tests anymore. But yeah, I think we are very transparent in what we believe in. We do have expectations. We have high standards that we would like to maintain. We know what our exit point is. So how many, what a child needs to achieve by the end. And so we do our very best to make sure that throughout the process we are supporting our students, we are delivering the best education that we can to get them to the level at the end so that they can be successful.
And from there, we have a lot of our students who are going to be very, very successful. They go on to universities. We've had a student in the last couple of years who has gone to Oxford. They go to the military. They're entrepreneurs. So they leave us and do great things.
Very nice. The question of the strength and the capacity and optimum capacity wasn't answered. Would you like to?
We're at around 1,800 across all of the sites. That's
a pretty large number for any school, actually.
No, it is, and luckily we have a lot of parents and students who want to come to our school, so we are able to keep those numbers high.
Yeah, lovely. coming to the point of a very important question, actually, and I'd like both of you all to take a go at it. How did you all cope during COVID, and how did you all manage blended learning? It's something new. Some people have taken a liking to it. Many have taken. I mean, there was no other choice. But I believe people have also learned a lot from blended learning, as even companies and people like me. If not for COVID, virtual Big B meetup wouldn't be there. I would still be having physical events. And because of the virtual Big B meetups that I've started last year, and I'm on my 52nd episode, it's given me much more brand value and reach across the globe. I've got people. I had guests from Houston up to Little Hamlet in even England, and Toronto to Germany. I would have to fly them in if I had a physical meet and I wanted them to be speakers. So how did you all cope during COVID as the school and as yourselves as well in this capacity that you all are in?
Look, as I said earlier, it was challenging. It really was. But we've worked as a team. We've been flexible, and we've adapted to the changes that the ministry have asked for. Like you said, Bosco, a lot of things that have come out of this, we won't just dismiss. The use of technology now that we have is absolutely fantastic, and I take my hat off to the teachers with the things that they've done within their lessons to make the lessons so engaging. The way they've been able to use assessment for learning, the way they've differentiated, the way they've got the lesson to be so engaging whilst online. It is truly remarkable, and we won't just get rid of that, like I say, and hopefully we can return to normal sometime in the near future, and we can use the best of both.
As a primary school educator, that's my roots, that's where I started. I will say that online learning doesn't sit well with me. I feel like children need to have hands-on learning, especially young learners. So when last year, when we were all in our homes and we were all in lockdown, I was extremely concerned about the education of our children and where this was going. So when we came back and the ministry introduced blended learning, I have to say I sighed a huge sigh of relief, because at least we got to see the learners every second day, and we were able to form relationships with them, make sure that they were making progress, give them that experience that was as close to normal as possible. And then we went back online, and we've come back again, but we've just had we're at the end of our year now, and from a primary school, I am absolutely blown away with the results that we've been able to get. So I think Danny's right. We've done a lot to overcome the challenges of online learning, and we've had to be, I think schools around the world have had to think on their feet. We've had to be innovative. We right at the beginning, we introduced and we used Microsoft Teams as our main platform, and that's just an amazing resource in terms of they're coming up with new apps all the time. So we use apps like Nearpod, which is very interactive. We use OneNote, which creates a virtual workbook for a child, and we can see how that child is learning and documenting their work all the time. So it's those kind of apps that we've just had to stay on top of. And yeah, as Danny said, we've learned a great deal. I think in my whole teaching career, this is the 2 years that I've learned the most. And I would still like the children back at school, but these are the learners and the adults of the future. So I think there's lots
don't you think,
learned, and we need to keep going with that.
Yeah, no, continue, please. But I wanted to say this. Don't you think this is like education without borders?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and don't you think there's a possibility of you actually, not yourself, but many schools, to actually get students from other countries now? You know what I mean?
I mean, there are schools who are now looking at that, and there's models. But I would say the only thing for me is I think this style of learning suits certain children, but other children still need to be in the class. So I think it depends on the learners. And that's for myself as a mom, I would say the same. I've got one child who has taken to this like a duck to water and absolutely loves it and has decided that he would like to be homeschooled, but I can't be the teacher. And then I've got another child who really just wants to go back to school. He's had enough. So I think it depends on the learner. And that's what individualized learning is about, isn't it?
Like I say, the best of both. You can't beat that personal touch.
Yeah,
Definitely.
absolutely. Carol, you're old school, just like myself. I still remember the duster being thrown at me.
We don't do that anymore, Bosco. Definitely not.
I know. I do know that. Yeah, absolutely. You cannot do that anymore.
And also, Bosco, I mean, you talked about the arts earlier, so arts programs and sports, things like this. If students are just online, they don't have access to that. And obviously, we've got to cater for all students and students' well-being as well. When they're in school, they're socialising with the peers, they're socialising with the teachers. It's been tough. It's been tough for everyone, this pandemic and online education.
Another topic I want to touch about is on Istidama, Arabic for sustainability. And how sustainable is Gulf English School? And do you all have any programs that you all have in-house on sustainability, on green building, or encouraging children to recycle, reuse?
So Danny touched on it earlier when he spoke about our service learning program. We have a service learning program which spans the whole both schools from preschool all the way up to IB. And that program has different areas that we look at. So we look at our community, we look at the world, we look at ourselves. And in each phase, we focus on our impact, what impact we make, what impact we have in our community, what impact we have in our world. And part of that is also about the environmental impact that we have. So, what do we do? Are we damaging the world? How do we change that? What difference can we make? And so, we have activities like recycling, like composting. 2 spring carnivals ago, we had we had another organization come and talk about products that are fruit and vegetables that are being grown in Qatar, and how
lovely.
Organic fruit and veg that was sponsored by a farm here. And then they had activities around composting and recycling and how that can be used within our families, within our school. I know that the IB students took on a project. They were looking at how we could become more sustainable within our own school, our canteens, how we can separate the food and all those kind of things.
What was the name of the organization?
So the company is called Agrico, and yes, it's an organic farm up in Alcor.
Oh, lovely! Because I know a couple of companies as in organizations that do the same process, and I also have a few people who'd love to speak at the school to impart knowledge to the students. Once phase 3 and phase 4. Pardon me, Daniel?
That'd be fantastic.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Another thing is, I'd like to know a little more about your extracurricular activities that you'll have at Gulf English School. And I know this would be pre-COVID, but also hopefully once a new academic year starts later this year, we would be much more freer to engage in more activities. Hopefully we don't have the third wave here in Qatar. Then we can have more activities, extracurricular, and also a little bit about field trips that you'll have, local and internationally. I'm sure you'll do a couple of those too as well.
Yeah. I mean, if we pride ourselves on developing the whole student, the holistic education, and obviously academics is important, but extracurricular activities are vital. We have a wide sports program, which we have many teams and individual events in the school Olympic program, which we're part of, and we've had a lot of success within that over the years. We have things like MUN, Model United Nations, where we've had delegates go off to. I was part of it a few years ago, where we took a delegation team to Rome. to compete over there. We enter Qatar debate. We have things like Destination Imagination, science events, arts programs.
Are some of these bespoke to Gulf English School?
Some are, yes. Other schools can enter things like the School Olympic program. They can have MUN. They can enter MUN conferences. It's up to the school. We do try and get involved as much as we possibly can, and we've got a lot of staff within our school who are really keen to run these types of things. It's part of our interview process. We want to know what staff can offer us when they come to our school, and the things that they can offer is fantastic. We also within the secondary school on a Wednesday afternoon when we're not in pandemic times, the last lesson on a Wednesday is dedicated to enrichment. So this is where students get to let their hair down. They come off timetable and they can do swimming. They can do various sporting activities. They can play board games. They can do create things in science. They can create their own experiments. It's really interesting to see what the students want to do, hearing from them and the student council, and what our staff can offer.
That's nice. Yeah. Another question would be, school. Could you touch? I don't know if you touched upon this earlier, but I'd like you to touch upon it again on briefly on the school milestones. If you could, just elaborately say a few things about the school milestones of Gulf English School.
Do you want me to go, Carol?
Yeah.
I'd want you to go too.
No, right. So I mentioned earlier. So we opened in 1993. You've already said that we opened in a villa. In 2005, we were BSME accredited. Then in 2007, we got our first IB diploma graduates. 2012, we were CIS accredited, and like I said, a couple of times since then for both the IB and the CIS, we've been reaccredited, and we've passed all those stages and processes. We also were the first school in Qatar to offer BTEC as a pathway within education. So, we've got the IB diploma, we've got IGCSEs, we've got AS, we've got A-level now, and we were the first school in Qatar to offer the BTEC pathway, which is a vocational way for our students to learn. It isn't solely content to at the end of the day to sit an exam. It's about putting these contents into real life situations, so that for certain students it's great for them to see how it works in real life and within a working environment.
Nice. Would you want to add anything on that, Carol?
No, perfectly put.
Wow. No. Okay. A question for both of y'all. Where do y'all see the school in the next 5 to 10 years, even 15? Because years are just flying like months now, especially during COVID. I can't believe we're in the second year. Hopefully it's the last COVID year.
Inshallah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Please let it be the last COVID year.
Yeah.
I think as an organization, we would just like to continue to deliver the very, very best that we can, and make sure that if we expand to any further sites or if there's any expansion within our school, that we consistently deliver high quality education. I think many schools around the city are expanding, and it would be silly for us not to consider that. But as I say, as a leadership, we will always only we would only always consider expansion if we can continue to do it at a high level. So, opening more schools is not just as easy as it sounds. It's, you have to recruit, you have to retain high quality teachers, you have to make sure that your staff are ready and the expansion is planned for. So that is something that we are looking at all the time. Obviously, our main campus is Al Ghurafa, and, we have a very loyal family base of families who send their children to our school, but more and more we're getting children from outside of that catchment. So, children coming from Alcor, children coming from Lusail, children coming from the other side of the city. So, we're always looking at ways to possibly deliver the same kind of education further afield. So, and that's part of our expansion, yes.
Yeah, and also, what are the key things that, when you all interview students and their parents, what are the key elements that they ask for? And what do you think are the key elements of your school? For me, I'm not a parent, but I visited your school just once, early February last year, and it was mayhem getting there because the roads were a mess. But this Ramadan, I was going to an iftar gathering or a quick one-on-one iftar. Actually, cannot have a gathering.
Caught you out there.
yeah, and it was pretty close to the school in Garafa, and I was there in a jiffy because the road now is so well done there, thanks to Ashgal. Qatar deserves the best, of course. and it's so easy to get to the Gulf International School. But my question is, what are the pointers that people ask for when they come in for an interview, or when you interview them to take in their children?
I think you're absolutely right. I think location is important, and so lots of parents will say, 5 years ago my child went to school further afield, further away, but there was no traffic in Doha, and so it took us 10 minutes. Now with all the traffic, it's taking us a long time, and so we'd like to come a little closer to home. So location is important. Parents also look, the average parent now is very savvy in terms of school fees and what you get for it. And so they ask us questions like, what are your facilities like? What do you offer? What kind of teachers do you have? What's their educational experience and background? Where do they train? Are they first language speakers? And all of those questions we answer with a yes, because that's our criteria when we recruit staff. So I think parents are looking for location, parents are looking for facilities and what we offer, value added, and I think for a caring environment, are you going to look after my child? Is my child's education important to you? And so that's the kind of discussions we have when we have parent interview.
Not to mention the extracurricular activities that you all have, I think second to none maybe, or very few other schools can have that. The access also, because you all have a writing school access, you all have the museum.
Absolutely. So we have SFQ, which is the sports academy, and they deliver some of the activities on our site actually, which means that children can go from us straight to transition to another activity, and they do swimming and football and karate and taekwondo and all of those activities as well on our campus. So those are also things, Lego and robotics and all of those. So there's lots that they offer. And as you said, the advantage of being part of this cluster that has different facilities available.
Yeah, there's a question from somebody, a sharpshooter as well, nice named. Is GES inclusive? Yes, it is. But yeah, isn't it? Or the nursery is at Bin Umran. But what about Garafa?
Like Carol said, we try to be as inclusive as possible. But like Carol mentioned earlier, we do entrance test, and when we take on students, we want to know that we are able to cater for every single need for that child. So, I mean, if we can't, then Carol mentioned earlier, we'll be open and honest, and we'll say that perhaps we're not the right fit. But for the most part, we'd like to think we are. Like we've said earlier, we've got the staff, they've got the skill set, they can differentiate lessons, they can bring learning to life, so that everyone has got a good chance of gaining an education.
True. Having said that, I have a program that I'm working on. I was supposed to have it last year. It's called Eco Quiz with students, and it was planned to have it at a heritage site. I had collaborated with Qatar Museums on this, and again, COVID didn't allow me to have it. But I'll be definitely getting in touch with you, Carol and Daniel, because I'd like the school to participate in it, and hopefully I'll have this in late September, early October. Yeah, and once you're back from your much-deserved holiday, we can have a chat about it. Yeah.
Hooray!
Sounds great.
Yeah, true. Uh, any other pointers I'd like to know from you, Carol and Daniel? Actually, now I get a bit nervous to ask Carol any questions, but it's always good to ask questions.
You sound like the people that I work with. That's what they say as well. Or should we ask Carol a question?
No, Carol, I'm just joking. The thing is, Carol, I heard I'd like to thank you for sharing your wonderful podcast that you had with another gentleman, and I'd like you to introduce me to him because I'd like to host him at some point.
Yeah,
But
no.
it was wonderful to know so much about you. I wish we had a podcast of Daniel too. It'd be nice. It would be nice. But I hope I've shed some light on Daniel and of course you, Carol. I'd like to know anything unique that you feel about the school that other students should know about. I got some of your students here on viewing this, and some of them are pretty naughty. But of course, I was a naughty student myself. But it's fun. It's fun. Yeah.
I think, if anybody's listening to this and they're interested in sending their child to our school, as a parent, and I know where you are, you want to know, will they look after my child?
Yeah.
Are they doing their very best? And I would say, yes, we are those things. I think we're a school that's reflective. I don't think we ever sit back and think we've got it perfectly wrapped up and we don't need to improve. No, that's not the case at all. We constantly review. We're at the moment, we're in the process of reviewing our curriculum, because every year we review what we have taught. Is it still fit for purpose?
Oh, lovely.
Are we doing the very best? Have our learners learned enough? Have they made sufficient progress? What do we need to change? And that's what we're about as a school. We want to do the very best. We want to stay abreast with technology. We want to stay abreast with curriculum development. The British education is changing all the time. We review what they do, and we have the luxury of being able to implement the good things. And
do you all localize it also? Do you all localize it because you all are in Qatar?
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely. That's what I'm saying. We get to learn from their mistakes. Really, what are they doing? What have they done well? Okay, we're gonna do that, and other things we'll wait and see how that pans out. But we're all the time reviewing and making sure that our curriculum is the best fit for every learner.
Nice. Coming back,
we also have a very strong pastoral system within the school as well.
Absolutely.
Obviously, students will achieve in their academics if they feel comfortable, if they're happy in school, they enjoy being in school. And we want the students to be just that. So we have a strong pastoral team. We've got a counselling team. We've got form tutors. We've got heads of year group leaders within the primary section who make sure, and especially now more important than ever, that regular well-being checks are going on for the students.
What is the strength of the faculty? Wow, you seem to have too many. Wow, a big number.
We're a big school, Bosco.
Not too many. Too many is not the right word.
I know.
We've got staff in responsibilities where they need to be and where they can make a difference. And like I say, right now during the times, well-being is crucial. So we do have these check-ins. We do cater for the students. We make sure we listen to their concerns and we can try and act on these things. And for next year, it is part of our strategic objectives that we really try and make a difference on the well-being for both the staff and the students.
Yeah. True. Well, here I have a teacher who's tuned in from all the way from Toronto, Ontario, Claire Rose, and she is a teacher in one of the schools out there, and has something to say. Online has its own challenges. Yes, of course, Claire Rose, it does.
And I think that comment is absolutely true. I think it has its massive challenges, and that's why we were so grateful when the ministry announced blended learning, because that gave us the opportunity to have those face-to-face encounters with our children, to keep them engaged, and so we could build on their learning when they were at home because of the contact that we'd had at school. So, when you don't have a relationship with the child that you're teaching, it's quite hard to motivate them and engage them and keep them engaged. So that physical contact, that face-to-face, well done is so vitally important. And I think that's definitely helped us this year.
Wow, yeah, very true. Well-being is another bastion of my Big B meetups. I do a sports and wellness themed event every Qatar National Sports Day, actually, and that's where we had your alumni, Mariam Farid, speak. Wonderful, actually, a wonderful ambassador of your school. Would you know any other students who have excelled in your school that you could maybe mention?
We've had Sakir Al Hitme, who is a professional footballer.
Wow.
He plays for Qatar, and then at the minute we've got a year 11 student, Ali Al Tamimi, who is the Qatar goalkeeper for his age group, which is fantastic.
Fantastic. Yeah, I know another Al Tamimi. He's the number one squash player of Qatar and the Middle East. Actually, he's an Al Tamimi too. And of course, been on my virtual Big B meetup. Before we say goodbye, I'd like you all to give your message of love and peace to our viewers and to your students who are also tuned in. Yeah, maybe you want to give them a piece. Yeah. And it was very nice to have you, Carol, and Daniel on my show. I must say, the most easygoing head of your respective departments I've ever had on my show. I've had principals before, but you guys are pretty cool.
Is that good?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, I believe so. It is.
No, thank you for having us, Bosco. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
Education has to be fun, Bosco. It has to be fun. If we're not having fun, our children aren't going to have fun, and they're not going to learn. And I think education is so vitally important. It's the way we change the world, and we get children on our side and enthused by education, by being people who are enthusiastic and want to spread that. So I hope that that's what we've shown today.
Very true. So you'll have earned your summer break, actually. Very well.
Oh, we didn't know that was why we were doing this, so we can go on holiday now.
No, I didn't mean that way. But are you guys back to your respective countries for a well-earned holiday break during July and August?
We hope so.
Yes, we hope so. Yes. Well, I'm going to Cape Town, which is winter at the moment, so it's going to be cold, but it is a break to go and see family, so that'll be wonderful here.
Yes, it is. Daniel, would you like to give your lasting message for us, which I always ask, a message of love and peace, and maybe kick a football a bit?
No, simple. Thank you for everyone who's joined in. Thank you for who's been watching. Please come and visit us at the Gulf English School. We'd love to have you, and we'll show you around and see what you think. But
absolutely, I'd like to do that once you're back, maybe, because it's going to be mayhem for the next 2 weeks. So when you're back in Doha in August, are you all opening back in August?
Yes. 25th.
Pardon?
25th of August.
The students and our staff will be in from the 15th.
Okay. Wow. Okay. So I'll see you all in August, middle of August, maybe. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Daniel, and thank you, Carol. It was a pleasure. I would love to host you all again sometime, maybe later this year. But before that, I will definitely be meeting you all to talk about the eco quiz that I'm planning to organize in September or October. And all the best. Have a lovely holiday, and congratulations on another academic year. And looking forward to next year. Yeah. And thank you, viewers, for your tuning in. And ma salama and arrivederci. Yeah. Take care.
Thank you very much.
Take care, guys. Thank you.
Bye-bye.